Boom! Welcome back to the Sebs Show, everybody. It's your boy Sebs, co-host Kip. Today we're previewing UFC London, Werdum versus Volkov. Pretty good matchup. I like that heavyweight matchup, and it's a pretty good card for Fight Pass for sure.
Absolutely.
Uh, don't mind waking up early to watch. Well, not early, but don't mind waking up in the afternoon to watch this card. But yeah, let's start it off already. And we got Nasrat Hakras against Narimani. Um, Narimani is the featherweight champ at Cage Warriors. Beat Paddy Pimblett for the title. Very good pressure. Uh, Good takedowns. Good top game. Good ground and pound. Good submissions.
hmm
He's good all around. He's a well built fighter, but he's not a 155er. He's not the biggest 145er as well. So obviously on short notice, we never know how he's gonna fight. I don't. I'm not sure how short notice this was. I think this was just over a week, 8 or 7 days notice, I believe. So possibly like a week notice for this guy. From what I can see, like I said, good top game, good wrestling. Yeah, it can go all five. It can go 5 rounds. So his cardio is intact. He's not gassing. Nasrat, on the other hand, he's got some good Muay Thai as well. To set up his takedowns. His takedowns are actually we didn't get to see it in the Marcin Health fight because he was a little bit scared to take him down, but uh, he's got some good takedowns and some takedown offense and some ground and pound. If you see his regional fights in Germany, he's got a lot of like good fundamentals, I would say.
How
And
do you see Narsat or Nasrat dealing with the submission and the grappling that Nad seems to kind of throw into his game every now and then with the hard punches?
yeah, but he dealt with Marcin Held, so
Yeah,
yeah, Marcin Held's like top level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I think he'll be all right. But yeah, my pick here is I'm going Nadir Romani actually for the upset win here.
yeah.
I think he gets the job done. How about you?
I think Narmani has that spread out skill set, and he's coming into the UFC a little new, but he has had his fair share of decisions and fights that go into later rounds, which I always like to see from a lot of fighters. It's good to end guys early and walk home, but I find when you step in the ring with someone who can handle you and who has been seasoned, and it happens to a lot of these young guys coming in. The guy who's had a few UFC fights tends to bully you a little bit more and make a lot of your amateur stuff or a lot of your pro stuff look amateur. And with the Marcin Held fight, Nasrat has that experience already in the UFC. Nad's obviously coming in to see what that's like. They're only really a few fights off from each other, so I think it's still pretty even. I got to take Nad Armani in this one. He's a little more spread out, and I kind of like that in fighters because it can win if the fight kind of goes rogue or they just tend to get back or something really simple, right?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Looks like we're both on Nadir Romani here. And next up, we got Mark Godbeer taking on Dmitry Sozanovsky. Um, Pretty much what I've seen from Dmitry is he beat Alexander Amalenko, or I can't say his last name, Fedor
Yeah, Malenkov, yeah.
Amalenko. Yeah, Fedor's brother. So he beat him. I guess he tapped out the strikes, Alexander. and his competition has not been that good. He's faced guys with like 9-7 records, 2-2. Yeah, he hasn't faced the greatest competition. 1-1, 9-15. But you gotta eat what's in front of you, I guess. So the guy's doing his job. Um, my goodness, 0-5. Like fuck, 2-6. Sorry guys, I'm just going over these ones.
Well, if he didn't beat Milenikov, he really wouldn't have much of much of a resume to bring into the UFC at
One
all.
five. Yeah, no kidding. Um, yeah, that's his only solid win. Wow, that's insane. But yeah, I surprisingly I like him in this fight.
Yeah.
The guy's got no takedown defense. He's pretty wild on his feet, but if he takes you down, he can land some nasty ground and pound on you. And he does have some power in his hands, so gotta watch out for that. He's a big. He's not even that big of a heavyweight. He weighs in at 230. So I don't agree with the line at minus 275 or whatever it is. It's like minus 300 now. Um, but Mark Godbeer's not that good, man. Fucking, like, that's a guy you fade usually, but I wouldn't fade him in this particular situation just because it's a debutant. We don't get him at a good price, and Mark Godbeer can still pull this out of his ass because this is a heavyweight match. Um, Other than that, I'm gonna be with it.
Sorry, guys, we're going to get the audio back for you in a minute. There we
Yeah.
go. Okay.
Yeah.
So just repeat like the last 10, I guess.
I just said go Gib
Oh.
because I got Dmitry Sazanovsky.
Oh, you got Dimitri in this one?
Yeah.
Just okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Mark's on and off performance could lose a few bets, especially just from the outside looking in. His last fight that he had with Walt Harris didn't go very well because of that big kick at the end of the round that resulted in disqualification. But before that, he fought Justin Spitz, and he was looking to wipe Godbeer out early, but the leg kicks and the constant educated pressure made him, pull a really smart win off. So, like you said, I mean, Mark can kind of pull these out there, but
Yeah, he was fighting Daniel Spitz though, for fuck's sake.
yeah, and he wasn't doing very well either. But like I said, he did come on really early, and he wanted to get him out of there. And for Mark to kind of rally back, it didn't seem that bad for him. But I mean, yeah, the level of competition wasn't the greatest.
And they went to decision for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Also, I think he injured Daniel Spitz at one of the kicks. He threw like a big low kick that screwed his leg up, and he still kind of had trouble on the stand up with him. So yeah, Dimitri, he's a monster. I mean, he's pretty big, but I mean, obviously the fights that he's had are a little questionable. So it's close. I think the new guy can really shake one out and probably go on, finish like a first round or maybe second and be on his way. But I think if he gets hit by too many leg kicks, that Godbeer has, it could be doomed to him. And if he gets to like the late rounds, he's proven to kind of he has 2 fights that did go the distance, other than ending guys mostly in the first round. So it might be a bit of a hole there, but we'll see what happens. I think he might go through Mark Godbeer, but you never know. I got Dimitri on this one, like you.
Yeah. Just give me a second, guys. Looking for the next fight. Um, I can't even see it right now.
Paul Craig and
No, it's
like,
Keaton Johnson and Stevie Ray.
oh, Cajun, yeah.
I'll let you take this one.
Well, I was actually very impressed looking at Cajun Johnson's career because
Oh my gosh.
I remember him on the Canadian Ultimate Fighter. He broke his jaw on the
Yeah.
on
How
that
were you
fight.
impressed?
Well, because he's come back from that really well. Since then he's obviously lost to Ryan McMahon and T Hyun Bang, but in that time he's been able to go on a few win streaks. Right now he's on a 3-fight win streak and a knockout over Adriano Martins, which I thought was really good.
That was horrible.
I didn't mind that fight. He stayed really far away from him. He seemed
Like
to
a
really,
pussy, he ran away from him, and then he landed a
but he
goofy
but he
shot.
baited him in. He bait and switched him and just popped him with that shot. And he even said, "Hey, at the end of that fight, I hit him with a punch that I used to knock a lot of guys in the street out with, right on the ear." And he did that. Weird as it is, and hey, it might look like one of those punches that Volkov threw to Jimmy Mantle on the fence, but I mean, hey, it happens, and he takes advantage of that. Stevie Ray's coming back from that Paul Felder knockout, and I mean, I get it. Stevie Ray fought Paul Felder, and Paul Felder's a high level guy. Before that, he had a Joe Lozon fight that went 3 rounds, and it was a war. Lots of jiu-jitsu in that fight. He had a few problems with Joe. Even striking didn't was not easy for him. And
I think he did good striking.
It was back and forth, don't you think? From the first round on,
Yeah.
everyone both had their moments, and I think Paul had quite a bit of them, but Joe won it, and Paul won it because of those big moments that he had, but it wasn't won easily. I don't think I think he had to really push for that. I mean, I don't know. I think Cajun could pull it out if it's one big punch and maybe Cajun kind of walks him into it. It could happen, and I don't mind his footwork. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'm gonna shit all over Cajun Johnson. Cajun Johnson is lucky to be in the UFC, but he's got 3 straight wins. But like off guys,
all decisions. You're right. All decisions, and he runs a lot.
Zhang Lepang or whatever the fuck his name is, 9-8-1, with a record of 9-9-1 after that fight. Horrible. And then he beats these 2 Asian guys that are like just jobber McJobbers. And then he fights Taeyeon Bang. That's his first fight, I believe. Actually, gets knocked the fuck out. Gets rocked by Taeyeon Bang. At points you can say he was.
Hold on, I'm ready to bring this back. I can hear you on the other end now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was going off on Cajun Johnson.
Oh, okay. Did you want to repeat it? You can. It's all good.
What, you guys heard nothing, eh?
No, I heard you after you talked about how well his opponents who he beat were doing because they weren't doing very well anyway.
And
I've already looked into that. You're right. Yeah.
And then he fought Taeyeon Bang.
Yes.
Got knocked the fuck out.
He did. Probably because of the jaw, but
horrible. Like he looked horrible in that fight. He's looked horrible in all three fights. The Adriano Martins fight, Martins looked absolutely horrible. That's the worst he's ever looked. This is a guy who's beat Islam Makhachev and shit, bro. And he fucking looked horrible. Other than that, we got fucking. But then you got Cajun Johnson, who like also didn't look that good in that fight as well, man. Fucking struggling at times, running away from Adriano Martins, literally running away from the guy. Fucking wanting no contact whatsoever. He doesn't want to fight. He's literally just running away from him, and he like his boxing is not even good. This guy doesn't have good wrestling. He presses you up against the cage when he can. He lulls you to sleep with his movement, and he's just like super boring to watch.
he does rely on people sleeping. You're right. Like people have to go slow for him.
And then you got Stevie Ray on the other hand, who's gonna bring the fight to you. He's gonna bring the fight to you. You can believe that. Monster took a fight against Paul Felder, where he got knocked out, but that was a tough fight against Paul Felder.
I agree.
And then he beats Joe Lozon. He did beat Joe Lozon, right? Or is
my memory he beat him. I just felt it was a rough fight.
Yeah, I remember it was.
But Ross Pearson was a split. I didn't watch that.
It shouldn't have been a split. The Ross Pearson fight.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't believe it should have been a split. And we see that Stevie Ray has knockout power in his hands, so he can put Cajun Johnson to sleep. That's for sure. Other than that, we got fucking. I think Stevie Ray brings it to him. But Stevie Ray's got the wrestling advantage here as well. He's gonna be the better fighter all around, and I think Stevie Ray all day, man. I got 4 units on Stevie Ray to win. Give me a second, guys. Four units, Stevie Braveheart Ray, minus 158 to win 2.53 units. All right. So I'm on Stevie Ray all day. How about you?
Oh, I got Cajun. I think he might pull off a win. He's also Canadian, so I got to go with the Heritage man.
Oh, here we go. All right. Next up, I'll let you. Actually, I'm going to take this one. I got Magomed Ankalaev facing off against Paul Craig. And Magomed Ankalaev, man, if you go watch his fights at WFCA and Ahmed Fight Club and shit, this guy is no joke. He has serious combos. He's got good striking, good head kicks, good boxing, lots of pressure, always push you against the cage, always get coming under with a double leg. Crazy strong top game. That's what he goes on for. And crazy strong ground and pound. His ground and pound is ridiculous. He knocks dudes the fuck out from ground and pound. Like he'll knock you the fuck out.
He looks like Khabib. Like that's how good he looks.
Yeah, he looks.
Everyone on the ground looks terrible.
Yeah. So once he gets you to the ground, it's good luck. But he looks awesome, man. And then he's going against Paul Craig. Oh fuck, I got the hiccups. Who's not the best, man. I gotta fade Paul Craig here because this is a guy who's known to have a glass jaw, has been knocked out twice already in his UFC career, and his only wins against Luis Frankenstein Enrique. looking forward to this matchup and watching Magomed just run him over and just threshold him, just fucking thrash him. Can't wait.
Yeah.
How about you, Gib?
Well, I think Paul
Oh
Craig
wait,
came
sorry
in.
to fucking
Oh,
cut you
no worries.
off, but I got 5 units on Magomed Ankalaev. I got him at minus 407. I think the guy's fucking worth it. I think he should be a 500. But I got him at minus 407 in a parlay. Obviously, I rarely ever go to 400 in parlays, but with this one, it's rare. I think he's a special talent, and I have to pull the trigger on him. But yeah, go ahead.
I agree. Yeah, he is one of the most special talents from the WFCA, fighting top opponents and just really making waves. He looks like I said, he looks similar to Khabib when he's got people in and out of mount and side control, always throwing punches, always making you move around on the ground and move into positions that is even better for him. The guy throws even big head kicks, sneaks into his opponent's bodies. He goes for big moves, standing, diving punches, full of tricks. And I think when you get to the UFC, he's just going to show off even more of it. Paul Craig, on the other hand, I don't mind him. He got a great armbar against Henrique de Silva. I really like that fight. And he was losing early.
Yeah, that's right. He was losing in that fight. That's embarrassing.
It was, yeah. Paul's fighting style stands up. It's a lot of improv, I think. Like, you think he rushes a lot of kicks, and for the most part, when a guy's being cautious, he tends to give Paul a lot of advantages when his range is included. He uses a lot of basic kicks and 1-2s, but he can be quickly overwhelmed by like a Tyson Pedro, a guy with a lot of tenacity and a lot of forward movement and punches, which is somewhat of what Magomed has, and I think he's going to play into that and lose because of it. If he does go to the ground, Paul Craig is seasoned in jiu-jitsu and has gotten 8 wins by submission, but it's going to be really hard to submit Magomed, especially where he stays and how he plays in the octagon. So I think Magomed wins this pretty easily. I'm not sure if he'll end the fight early. He might go to decision, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
The guy's gotten knocked out twice, so I think his coaches are really gonna keep him on the outside and maybe try to avoid any sort of contact with this guy.
For those stupid low kicks that he does.
Pretty much. So I think it might go to a decision, but I do think we see some awesome combos by Magomed, and Paul's wide stance is definitely going to be bait for those leg kicks that he throws too.
Yeah, I agree, man. Next up, do you have the fight card in front of you?
It's not in order on the UFC fight. That's why I said like the Cajun Johnson fight shows first for me. But the next fight here is Hakeem and Danny Henry. I'm not sure if that's next though.
That's the next fight. Hakeem.
Okay.
Hakeem Dawodu and Danny Henry.
Yeah.
And that's a fight, man. Hakeem Dawodu, if you want to talk.
Hakeem.
Hakeem. If you want to talk about talent and guys with experience, even though he's only 7-0-1, he does have 15 Muay Thai fights. He is a legit Muay Thai fighter. Very, very nasty with leg kicks.
Is it 15 or 50?
Does he have 50?
I think it's 50. I'm pretty sure. It could be.
I heard the announcer say 15.
Oh, 15? Okay.
Oh, I'm not sure, man. It could be, if it's 50, That's fucking ridiculous. Like, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it, actually.
Yeah,
We gotta check that out.
I'm doing that right now.
Just look at his Muay Thai record.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's 50, wow. But he does have a lot of experience with his Muay Thai, like I said, and his striking is just seamless, man. He flows into like strikes very seamlessly, and just like beautiful. Like he'll throw the leg kick right after a left hook combo. Very proper. It looks like very fundamentally sound. His technique is all there. He's got a chin on him as well. You can see him brawling some fights. Um, he's got a tough task in front of him though against Danny Henry. Danny Henry, who's actually been rocked a few times in that Daniel Tamer fight.
Yeah.
But and then he ends up winning that fight because Tamer gasses. Hakeem won't gas. That's the one thing that you gotta know. Hakeem won't gas, and I think he's gonna bring the pace and pressure towards Danny Henry there. I think he breaks him down with leg kicks, and he does his job over 3 rounds to finish him. If not, he finishes him before that, obviously. But I got 5 units on him. Him and Magomed Ankalaev. I got Magomed Ankalaev, Hakeem Dawadu minus 149 to win 3.36 units, 5 units max bet. And yeah, man, pretty fucking pumped about that bet. How about you?
Like I said before, Hakeem's Muay Thai is so prevalent in every fight. I mean, you know the guy's coming from every angle, throws elbows, kicks, knees, any sort of strike, he's gonna throw it, and as well as just probably the many moves that he hasn't even really displayed. I think we haven't really seen him in much wrestling trouble. Obviously, he hasn't been. At least from the look of most of his fights, they end pretty quick, and his striking is dangerous enough that it takes a lot of craftiness just to wrestle him down or get any sort of single leg on him. I mean, I can see Danny Henry possibly doing something. His David Tamer fight was decent. I mean, he got it out. He seems to be pretty well versed, and he's won his last 4. He's lost a decision before to Igu Kabisa. He's 9-1 actually, and he's from South Africa. So he has not been fighting low competition really. So this is actually a pretty close fight, I would say. But Hakeem's definitely goes up a little more on top because of the striking difference. Obviously not going for any sort of submission, so it should cement the pace of the fight down. But yeah, I gotta go for Hakeem too. Also for another Canadian fighting in here, so
Yeah.
Not show the pride.
100%, man. Big on Hakeem too. I think Hakeem is going to be a solid talent inside the octagon. So I'm pretty pumped to watch him. Next up, we got Danny Roberts versus Oliver Enkamp. Why don't you take this one, Gib?
Okay. Oliver Enkamp and Danny Roberts actually both fought Nordine Taleb, and they showed different things in that fight. Obviously, Danny Roberts suffering from the KO loss, a really brutal high kick from from Nordine Taleb that just really had Danny Roberts blasted to the end of the cage and ended his fight. Whereas the Oliver Inkamp fight, he had a bit of a tough time to fight him, and it took him a few rounds. He did start to wear down on Oliver, and his high kicks worked less and less. One grazed Talib's nose, actually. If you look at one of the kicks that he avoids, I mean, he's really avoiding these by just the skin of his teeth. And the fight worked out really well for him. Oliver looks like he can blast a lot of front teeps, a lot of leg kicks, and really make things annoying. But Danny Roberts has a bit of a southpaw style, and he always looks for a big middle kick. Or even like a switch, and he always tends to land it. So I think it's going to be a little different for this fight because of the stance, and it could get Inkamp caught with something big, especially if he's going to be really kick heavy and and strike singly, which he does a lot. Inkamp is very defensive and moves around pretty well. And he's very picky with his kicks, but he does land what he wants. He goes for a lot of the high impact stuff, a lot of the critical shots, which we've seen, Danny Roberts take, as well as give back. And Danny Roberts seems to be that type of guy who can block something, come right back in, or really box out orthodox fighters. This is a real weird style difference, and I believe it's. I don't know. This is going to be I think it's going to be a close one. I can see Inkamp winning this though, off of just one big kick or off of off of a single that lands rogue on Danny, because Danny seems to show that maybe one big kick could be it. And with the Mike Perry loss as well, it does show that big punches and big kicks can affect. And Oliver Inkamp does all of that.
Yeah, I wasn't here for most of that, but I'm sure.
Oh, no worries.
I'm sure I agree. Yeah. So, and okay, we're on Encamp. Good. Okay, so cool. So the future Encamp, kid serious. A lot of people are talking shit that he doesn't belong in the UFC.
Really?
Yeah. He's like too small for the division, which I agree. He is small for the division. Should be a 155er. The kid's solid. He's got solid skills. He's a good karate fighter. And how long does karate work lasts? Wonder Boy. If you're high level, you're high level.
You can make it work.
Yeah, you can definitely make it work. But here, Encamp is gonna be able to gauge distance with his kick and his side kick and everything, and then come in and blast whenever he wants. He's also the better wrestler here, so he can get the job done whichever he pleases. I believe he wins a decision because of his pressure, and not only his pressure, but I think he's going to be coming a lot, clinching him against the fence and going for takedowns, double legs and whatnot. And I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, my mic was all the way over there. Yeah. So, and I think he does the job, and so I'm watching basketball, guys. That's why I'm a little multitasking here, but I think he gets the job done here. Encamp, we've seen Danny Roberts struggle with his chin as of late, with Mike Perry and with Nordine Taleb. We might be able to see another issue here with his chin. So I got Oliver Encamp. I got 2 units on him at plus 145 and plus 165 to win 3 units. So I'm pretty confident in that one as well. Yep. Gabe, you already went. Okay. So next up we got the White Mike Tyson, John Phillips versus Charles Byrd, and pretty much John Phillips. He comes at you. He's kind of like a Mike Perry. He has that one strategy to knock you out, or he's gonna lose the fight probably in decision. He got taken down by Charlie Ward, so it shows you how good his takedown defense is. Um, so he struggles wrestling, obviously, and I think I can't believe Arizona's losing right now, guys. This is ridiculous. But yeah, uh, he's just always swinging these bombs. If he connects with you, you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
He's a monster. If he connects with you, you're going to sleep. That's for sure. He's not called the White Mike Tyson for no reason. He's legit. Like, he's got power in that hand. Um, do I like him in this matchup? It's hard. Charles Byrd is good all around. He's got a good he's got a good sorry. Charles Bird's got like a good like work ethic, and he's got like a good ground game, good wrestling, good clinch, decent strike. He's a decent striker as well. And when you put all that together, you can probably beat a guy with one tool in his back pocket. So I think Charles Bird actually gets the win here, and we see John Phillips get a loss here. We see Charles Bird move on and go 10-4 into and finally, because Dana White didn't want to sign this kid, he shows Dana White why he should have been
He
signed.
didn't want to sign him after the first submission he got.
Yeah, for the first one, he
I
didn't
was
want to
curious
sign
why
him.
he went back on. I thought that something happened or like
He didn't really want to sign him after the second one too. If you listen to the interview, he says like he doesn't like his record or anything, but like he's willing to give him a shot. Yeah, because like he finished two guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
proves his
so
worth, right?
yeah, but yeah. How about you? What do you think?
I definitely agree with John Phillips. This guy is no joke. One shot will make you broke, and he's got that type of style. Every punch or strike he throws has torque and body and all kinds of damage behind it. And when you do get hit and block it, that punch is just to move you into the next shot. And it's really easy to see who's kind of still learning in the beginning stages, especially when you see guys fight in lower organizations other than the UFC. And when you watch John Phillips fight, he's pretty much making everybody he fights with look like they're not even competing in the same sport. It's just he's pushing them around. He's doing what he wants. He's getting away with murder. The guy doesn't really go to 3 rounds. He's went there with Tom Watson, where he did lose a decision apparently early on. But even after that, the guy was just pretty much ending guys in the second round or being ended because of how much power and torque he puts into his punches. He kind of has that double-edged sword. You're going to either live or die by it. But I think Charles Byrd really has shown why he made such a big fan out of Snoop Dogg, because Snoop Dogg really enjoys him on the show. After he got his first submission and during the Randall Wallace fight, was just pretty much rooting for him all the way. I thought that was kind of interesting, and the way he was able to beat Jimmy Pickett, awesome. I thought an awesome choke. And even Randall Wallace. So this guy's pretty varied, and John Phillips has lost by submission before. Charles Byrd can turn it around. He's 34. He's kind of seen guys who are dangerous and knows how to handle them. And I think that he will know how to handle John Phillips, especially with that wrestling, and especially putting him into situations he's not exactly ready to take on, especially now. We'll see what happens, but someone's getting knocked out. I don't know what's going to happen in this fight. I'd
Yeah,
like a submission, but John will catch you.
you think so?
It could, yeah.
All right. Okay, so next up we hit the main card, and I'm gonna let you talk to this one first. Leon Edwards versus Peter
Leon? Okay.
Sabata.
Um, Leon Rocky Edwards, on the other hand, is also he's a southpaw, so they're both actually southpaw, and it'll be interesting to see what that's like. Edwards is no stranger to 3-round fights. He's very he's got a lot of stamina and he uses it very well. Mixing in a lot of talented knees, strikes, left uppercuts, left middle kicks, not shy of either catching kicks and following up, which I think is very underused skill sometimes. I think a lot of guys get away with murder in terms of kicks sometimes, and this is someone who won't really let you do that. Kamaru Usman gave him quite a bit of problems in their fight, but I mean Kamaru Usman's awesome wrestler and very rough to take down. Peter Sabata, on the other hand, is coming off a win over Josh Berkman. He got that fairly easily. He stands really wide, and he always has a really sharp left hand that's loaded up at pretty much at any time. He's got a really high submission ability, and he's taking back and once he locks fighters down, a lot of them get frustrated. Out of Sabata's 5 losses, though, he's lost 3 times by decision. So I'm wondering if Peter Sabata has possibly a bit of a stamina problem. He has won decisions in the past, but I think maybe Leon Edwards might bring a certain difficulty to the plate that hasn't been brought to Peter Sabata in a while. Obviously, this guy's ready to wrestle you back because Peter Sabata has quite a bit of a submission background, very good at grappling. Grappled a lot in a lot of German grappling tournaments. I think it's going to be close. I'd like Leon Edwards to take this one, seeing how hard he worked to stay winning. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think Leon Edwards takes it though.
Yeah, I also like Leon Edwards. I think he gets the job done because he's better all around. He's got the wrestling advantage. He's got the wrestling advantage. He's got the striking advantage in a little bit of a way as well too. I think he's nasty striking. Former no, he's not. Sorry, that's Danny Roberts. I was gonna say he's a former professional boxer, but he's not.
Oh, I was
But
about to
yeah,
say that's crazy.
he's a great grappler, though, man. So is Sabata. Sabata's a great grappler as well. But when it comes down to it, I think Leon Edwards is just a little bit better as a grappler, and he's a little bit better at striking. And he was actually one of my leans early on. Passed on him to hit some other plays that I like, but I do I do enjoy Peter Sabata. I do enjoy fuck Danny or Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
I think Leon Edwards might be able to get the job done here. Um, just seeing quickly, this guy hasn't lost a fight, like a legit fight in the UFC. Well, he lost to Claudio Silva, but I was gonna say only Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
But he's been on a streak, man. He's won 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Beat Vicente Luque. I like Leon Edwards, man. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Leon Edwards here. All right. Next up, we got Tom the Fire Kid Duquois take on Terry and Ware.
is a big one.
And the
Very
Fire
good
Kid,
fight.
I love the Fire Kid, man. I think he's a fucking animal. The kid's striking is unbelievable. It's on another level. You can see in his Bama days, if you go watch back, his elbow against Shea Walsh was like a thing of beauty, man. It knocked him out with such a clean elbow. Um, he's got some slick striking, and you can see even against Patrick Williams, he does take a lot of damage, but this guy's striking something to behold, man. He can knock you out, and he's got a lot of power, and he's very accurate with his punches. Um, Other than that, I think he's going to be able to set a pressure on Tyrion Ware and set him up with kicks and whatnot and just get him going. And I think he's actually a good wrestler as well. But I think this is staying as a stand up battle. And I think he'll point Tyrion Ware and actually beats him.
Hmm.
I got Tom Dukenwall beating Tyrion Ware. I got 4 units on him at minus 253 to win 1.58 units simply because the Tyrion Ware, man, from what we've seen in the UFC, he can't win a fight. Maybe this is his time, but he's having a hard time winning fights.
Yes. Yeah.
Lost against Sean O'Malley, Cody Stamen.
Well, Cody Stamen beat Tom Dukenwall too, though.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. But I mean, Sean O'Malley could have been his, I think. Realistically, and it's not because I'm bringing Sean O'Malley down. It's more just because he's a new fighter on the scene. Like these are the guys that you're supposed to really be picking off, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think Tyrion lost. Like I thought he lost the Sean O'Malley fight quite clearly.
Yeah.
But fair enough. But I think like if he loses this one and then like he's been handed like he's getting treated like a jobber, and he's not a jobber. The kid's good.
Yeah.
He's a good fighter. But yeah. Can't wait to watch this fight. I think it's gonna be a good one. Terry Ware's boxing against the Taekwondo of Tom Dukenwall, the Muay Thai of Tom Dukenwall.
Before I just want to ask, what do you think about the Cody Stamen fight and Tom Dukenwall? Like, do you think that Tyrion can take anything from that and apply it, or do you think it's just two different people who can't? Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have the wrestling or the time. Yeah. The timing to.
I really like that fight.
Yeah.
I think Tom Dukenwall's Cody Stamen fight showed a lot because Tom Dukenwall was still able to land a lot of these crazy kicks that he lands. He's a really fast fighter. And when they fought, I can tell that Cody Stamen really intimidated him, whether it was on the ground or just the constant pressure. And maybe he didn't exactly know how to deal with that, but he's fought guys like that in earlier divisions who have rushed them. He has fought guys who have been right up in his face and tried to implement game plans like that. Not everybody is Cody Stamen, and the French kickboxing does have its difficulties. So I think if Tyrion Ware can stand right in front of him and keep some sort of pressure and pace, hitting Tom Dukenwall in between his combos, which is very tough to do because this guy changes his speeds up multiple times throughout the fight. I think that's what puts Tom Dukenwall on a very high level for someone really young. He's the type of guy who can just change the speed on you at a moment's notice, and that's the pace of the fight. And then he'll change it again and change it again, unless you're intimidating, and then he might have to, keep it the same for a while. Tyrion Ware, like we said, he obviously had a lot of trouble chasing Sean O'Malley around and kind of being hit a lot. I think they both got hit, but Sean O'Malley definitely crushed Tyrion Ware, and he definitely showed even more after that fight. So Tyrion Ware lost to a good fighter, and as well as Cody Stamen, and he's not doing very well as of now. So he's definitely hungry for a win. And Tom Duquesnoy, he needs to create an upset. Or sorry, yeah, he needs to create an upset by beating Tom Duquesnoy, which is not easy. Um, I mean, I think Tom Duquesnoy wins it, but in a in a, in a perfect world, I mean, Tyrion Werrick also could stay in his face, throw throw a lot of the singles that he can throw. I think he's very fast off the first few punches that he does throw. Like when it's one kick or two punches, he can always really throw it quick. But with Tom Duquesnoy's expertise, it might be a little difficult. Mix in the wrestling, mix in catching people's legs, especially Tom Duquesnoy's, and maybe you might be able to get this guy on the floor and do something. But Tom Duquesnoy also has quite a bit of submission abilities. He's got a few back in the day. Hasn't had one in the UFC yet, so we'll see what happens.
He's had one recently, though, in Bama.
Oh, recently? Oh, yeah.
In Bama.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll be his first one in the UFC. We'll see what happens. I think Tom Duquesnoy wins it in maybe spectacular fashion. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree, man. Next fight, Jimmy Manuwa versus Sean Blachowicz. Gib, take it away.
How did you like the first one? The first time they fought?
Why do you think I'm giving this one to you? I think that fight was horrible.
Oh, wow.
I think this one's going to be a sleeper.
Really? Yeah. You don't think anyone's getting knocked out, or you think they're going to play nice with each other?
Maybe John Blachowicz is going to get knocked out, but
yeah,
I don't fucking know. Like this fight sucks to me.
Well, it was 3 years ago, right? So we're definitely getting an updated version of both of these fighters, and that's up in the air. They fought, and Jimmy Manuwa took that one. It was pretty competitive back and forth. I thought John Blachowicz has a really good switch kick, and it kind of matched up really well with Jimmy Manuwa's style. So they throw similar punches to each other. I think Jimmy Manuwa throws a little more intention to kill, but they still fight similar, and I think that's why the fight kind of went down the stretch, and it was just both of them playing rock'em sock'em robots. The first meeting, it was obviously a rough fight, a lot of knees to the thighs, a lot of phone booth fights in wrestling. He showed a bit of a backstep in his previous fight with Pat Cummings. That fight did not look very good. He used his experience to bounce back, fight a tough guy like Jimmy Manuwa. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a similar fight. They're both just going to be landing bombs, and it's going to be a tough contest. And Jan likes to tough people out. Like, he likes to just beat them by being tougher. But so does Jimmy. So I think this is why it's the up in the air fight. Either of them can win. I would like John Blachowicz to win. I think maybe he can even it out and start the 1-1. Maybe even get a third fight. You never know.
Fuck, please no.
You never know. It might even be the main event sometime. You never know.
Oh my goodness.
I'm calling it.
That is fucking horrible.
If Jan wins it.
That is fucking horrible.
Anyway, what do you think?
I got Jimmy. I don't want to break down this fight. I got Jimmy Manuwa to fucking. I think he knocks out Jan. From the first fight, it looked like they both had some pressure. Like it looked like they took all 3 rounds to figure out what the fuck they were doing, and then it gets to the end of the fight, they both have no clue what the fuck's going on. Jimmy takes it. Tough fight, but I think Manuwa's power overcomes like any grappling ability and anything that Sean has, and I think this is a striking battle, and I think Manuwa has the better hands and whatnot, so I think I'm gonna go and take Manuwa to knock him out.
All right.
And for our main event, Werdum versus Volkov.
How do you have it?
I got
Or you want me to
Werdum.
start?
Oh, by the way, did I say I had 4 units on the Fire Kid?
No. Who did you had? Tom Dukwan, obviously.
Yeah,
So 5.
four units on Tom Fire Kid Duke. Well, mine's 253, 201.58 units. But I got 4.13 units on Fabricio Carvalho Verdum, minus 211 and minus 187 to win 2 units. Um, to me, he's one of the best, if not the best heavyweight in the world. Simple as that. He got unlucky the first time he fought. Um, Stipe, I thought it's Stipe's time, but this guy can do it all. He brings the pressure towards you. He comes in flying with that jumping side kick. He's fucking ridiculously solid, and he's got a good chin. Other than what people think, his chin's decent. He can still take a punch. We saw it in the Alistair Overeem fight, and a few fights actually. In the Marcin Tibura fight, he took a couple hard shots. But other than that, man, if he takes us to the floor, the fight's over. I think he's still got the best jiu-jitsu as a heavyweight. And if he wants to stay standing, he can lull this guy to sleep with his style and just point him away. And I think he uses his veteran octagon experience and hands Volkov his first loss here, man. So I got 4 units on him to win two. 4.13 units on him to win 2 units.
Uh, I guess for me, I got Werdum as well, mostly because Werdum really has shown his worth. I mean, the guy beat Marcin Tybura, and I don't think that's an easy fight at all. I think Tybura is going to go on to win the next few fights that he has. The guy. It was a rough fight. I mean, it went for 5 rounds, and I definitely think Tybura messed him up quite a bit. But I mean, Werdum was real cool, real calm in that fight. Um, you know, before that, he took out Walt Harris. It was a bit of a rushed fight for Walt, but still ended a guy who was ready to take on the challenge. And before that, we got to see a crazy opening kung fu kick on the Travis Brown fight. So this guy could do anything. He's done a lot, and he's 40 still. Um, Alexander Volkov, this guy's absolutely crazy. Great knockout power, taking on guys like Struve, who, I mean, yeah, he has his shortcomings, but I mean, he's still a tall heavyweight who beat out Stipe early on in their in the UFC before he even had a belt. I think that means a lot. And I wasn't very impressed with his fight with Roy Nelson. I thought that Roy really intimidated him in that first round, and then from that first round, it took Volkan a while. At the end of the first, he started coming back and throwing bombs, and then in the second, started to catch Roy a little bit more, but he was visibly super tired at the end of those rounds by being chased around by Big Country, and lots of big overhands were still catching him. And Volkov is 6'7", and Roy Nelson is about what 6 feet. So if I think if Fabricio Werdum can throw a punch, and he's 6'4", he can definitely catch Alexander right on the chin with a lot less effort. He doesn't have to punch way up there to get him. Again, his jiu-jitsu experience. The guy's been here before. He's been fighting heavyweights since 2012 in the UFC. Super decorated. I think he beats Volkov. Volkov might have a scary power that maybe Werdum should look out for, but I mean, it's nothing that he hasn't fought before. He's fought guys with huge power differences, and How even some of those guys had the favorites, and he still come out on top against a few of them.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. And that's that for UFC
Wrap.
London. Yep. That's it for UFC London. Hope everybody cashes. Let's go Sebs. Let's cash these bets. And let's get it.
Peace out, guys.
Peace out, everyone.